following is a paid advertisement program provided by Premier Investments and Wealth Management. An airing of the program is not to be considered an endorsement or recommendation. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts, guests and callers and not necessarily of KFXR or iHeartMedia. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide tax advice. Please consult your tax professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal.
The views and opinions of the show are those of Premier Investments and Wealth Management and their guests alone and do not reflect any other entities. The information of the following program should not be construed as an offer to sell and is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax advisor or legal counsel. The statements in this program do not reflect those of Premier Investments or its affiliates. Hello and there, and welcome to the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program with Roger Abel. My name's Doug Wagner. I host a radio show for iHeartRadio, and Roger Abel is one of my victims on a weekly basis. Roger, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Doug. I like the cocktail shirt you've got on today.
You're working on it. We both got the summer vibe going on, man. I'm telling you.
So you're going to get a kick out of this. So this morning, I was watching all these stylish guys with their sleeves rolled up. I'm like... Tried to roll mine up, and they weren't even. So I Googled how to roll up your sleeves. Everything's on YouTube.
Exactly.
Everything.
You can find it, including this show. You can find it out on YouTube. So
you can, yeah.
Just search there, Roger Abel. You know what? We want you to go while you're on the website, on the internet. Go to the website, premieriwm.com. When you're there, click on Get Started, because that will take you to the place where you find out if you're ready for retirement. You need to find out if you're ready for retirement, your kids' education, whatever it is. premieriwm.com. Click on that Get Started, answer a couple of questions. You'll get one-page Premier Vision document, and you can download that once they get a hold of you to schedule an appointment. It's a free, no-obligation consultation. Just go to premieriwm.com. He's the owner and wealth advisor at Premier Investments and Wealth Management, over 20 years of experience in the financial services industry. He's an accredited investment fiduciary, and you know him as the Big Kahuna. Roger Abel.
Man, I've got it back. I love it.
There it is.
Our first show in the Dallas area, you didn't bring out the kahuna, but you're bringing the heat now. So I like that, Doug. That's awesome.
I'm feeling the inner Nolan Ryan in me because we're in the Dallas metro, right?
You're trying to keep it tamed down for the listeners. For the
original one, yeah. We're doing that one. So also keeping it tamed down because you know what? There's so many other things to get people all vexed and out of their skin, including recent happenings in the judicial system with presidential candidates, because it's an election year. So we want to talk about investing during election year, because even without the current situation, it can be very divisive and unsettling, and at times the fate of the world seems to hang in the balance. Talk to me a little bit about this Investopedia survey and some of the findings that they had with regard to investments in presidential elections, Roger.
I think, interestingly enough, this survey reflects that of most of our customers. Mm-hmm. Many individuals and families that we work with have asked, what's going to happen? It's an election year. It can't be good for markets. And we have a pretty standard response. You're similar to everybody else. Mm-hmm. Most people are concerned about it. But at the end of the day, if they start to take a look at what reality is during the election cycle, we can start to put their mind at ease a little bit. Most people think that it's going to be bad for the stock market. That's not really the case.
So it doesn't really matter much, is what you're saying?
Well, what I'll tell you is that if we look at data, it doesn't. 83% of the time, the market's still positive. Okay. So if we just went back and looked at the S&P 500, which is just a broad index, and we look at the 4-year election cycle performance, let's call it, because hopefully individuals listening to this show aren't trying to day trade and get in and out of the market. That's not what this is about. We're long-term investors. We believe in planning. So if we just look at a 4-year period of time, which really isn't long-term, during an election cycle, 73% of the time, positive. The average yearly total return is 11.54% a year.
Okay.
Well, 11% a year. What are we worried about?
Yeah. I know, and it's one of those things where, especially when you take a look at the 4 years of your presidency, you go through at least that one term of it. And boy, I mean, it's really interesting the way you look at it, because early on it starts off kind of rocky. There may be a little bit of optimism, just under 10%. Second year drops a little bit, but then that third year, after the congressional midterms and everything typically evens out after that, that's when people go, okay, let's move.
Yeah. So on a per year basis, the first year actually is pretty good. The first year following an election.
Well, all of them are actually fairly good.
They are, but I think you made a good point. Many people think you want to get out and sit out right away to see what happens. Well, then you missed out on 9.88%.
Yeah.
The second year is the worst year. Under 9%, 8.47% on average. But year 3, you're right. And think about the current election cycle that we're in, Doug. What was year 3 for this current administration? Huge.
Oh, yeah, it was huge.
20+%.
Exactly.
The average third year return in any 4-year election cycle is 17.64%. And then 10% in the fourth.
It's interesting because as I've been in politics for years, and I still talk about politics, how it's a combination of maybe there's that midterm fever, when you get a little neutralizing of whatever a president's going to do. But also there's this anticipation because we know now that presidential elections start earlier, so you can see the way everybody starts moving toward one another. And especially this year, maybe more so than any other year, you've gotten a much clearer look-see at what exactly is going on and who's going to be staking out what territory at this case. You've got a graph that's really interesting too. And it starts back with Hoover, 1929 to 32, and it goes up to President Trump from 2017 to 2020.
It is a good chart. There's a lot more positive years than negative years. 73% of those years we had positive market performance. But I think this is one that will actually surprise people a little bit. The average 4-year return is 46.18.
Right.
The average Republican return is 7.85.
Okay.
The average Democratic return was 14.93.
What?
And I think that if you poll people, and first off, this is a very unbiased show. We're not politicizing in any way. But I think if you went and polled most people, they would think those would be opposite.
Right.
And I think it goes back to a lot of different biases that have been formed around investing, the stock market, and politics. And I've mentioned this to individuals for a really long time. I don't really believe that who the president is matters from a return standpoint. More of it has to do with what is the current monetary policy that's happening.
Right.
So during periods of time where monetary policy is very, very easy, arguably markets are going to do better. When monetary times are more difficult, like we've seen the last couple of years, it can be worse. So monetary policy drives a lot of what's actually happening. But at the end of the day, who the president is doesn't matter. Markets are going to be markets. It's going to matter for your own political views and how you feel about things. Yeah. But everybody should just think about this. How close are presidential elections, Doug? Percentage-wise, within a few percent, right?
Yeah, within 5% typically.
Okay, so that means half of the people are in favor of one person, half are in favor of the other. And I think that's why you see those first 2 years, half the people are scared.
Yeah.
The other half are happy. But by the third year, they're all like, man, we just got to get invested and let this thing work out how it works out.
Are you ready to take control of your financial future? The financial professionals at Premier Investments and Wealth Management are the guides you've been looking for. Picture this, a financial plan tailored exclusively to you. Our team of experienced professionals will work closely with you to understand your aspirations and develop a personalized roadmap to get you there. Whether you're dreaming of retirement, buying a new home, or sending your kids to college, we've got the tools to give you confidence in your financial life. We'll help you navigate saving and investing, retirement income, and tax strategies. Our job is not just about making money, it's about helping our clients make smart choices. We'll provide you with the tools and knowledge to confidently steer your financial ship toward a brighter future. Are you ready to embark on your financial journey with confidence? Visit www.premieriwm.com to get started. Your financial future awaits.
Premier Investments and Wealth Management financial program right here on 1190talkradio.com. Talk Radio 1190, Doug Wagner along with Roger Abel from Premier Investments and Wealth Management. We're talking about the way that the financial markets work with regard to presidential elections. And it's, again, really interesting when you take a look at this. Everything from Hoover all the way up through Biden. And it's important that you take a look at numbers, even if just to get familiarize yourself. One of the things that I'll tell you is that you really don't have to take a look at the numbers, because your friends over at Premier Investments and Wealth Management will do that for you, because that's their job. If you're sick, you go to a doctor. If you've got legal issues, you go to a lawyer. If you want to try to prepare for your financial future through retirement or for your kids' college attendance sometime in the future, get in touch with the professionals, wealth advisors at Premier Investments and Wealth Management, premieriwm.com. So the bigger picture in all this is that elections don't exist in a vacuum. There's so many other things that are going on. Like, for example, now your old mentor, Jeff Johnston, call it the apocalypse du jour, right? And the idea that now not only do you have election, but also you have the Ukraine-Russia war and what's happening in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas.
Well, what elections really are, they're just a distraction, make investors feel fearful. You mentioned apocalypse du jour, and that's really just the idea that in any given year, there's going to be a reason not to invest.
Yeah.
And actually, I have a chart in front of me put out by Advisor Capital Management, but this is a great chart. And if we go back 30 years in time, every single year, we can find a reason why it would make sense to not invest, okay? But let's level set it. January 3rd, 1994, the Dow Jones Industrial. And I'm going to use the Dow Jones Industrial.
Right.
I don't think it's probably the best representation of what the stock markets are doing today, but most people still look at what they follow that one more than the S&P. The Dow Jones Industrial in 1994 was 3,754 points. In 1994, we had Orange County files for bankruptcy. We had
one of the most conservative counties in the country, meaning California. They had a guy named B1 Bob Dornan, who is their member of Congress and represented Orange County out there. So they're conservative, and they filed for bankruptcy.
You have Oklahoma City bombing. You have budget crisis, bird flu, 2000. Anybody remember what happened in 2000?
Yeah. .com.
What about 99? Y2K.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I remember that.
The computers are going to shut down. What's going to happen? We don't know. We don't know if that'll work. 9/11, Iraq War.
Hurricane Katrina in 2005 took out, just a whole bunch of stuff down in the Gulf Coast.
Housing crash in 07, Great Recession, stock market collapse. I can go on and on every single year.
Yeah.
COVID. How many people during COVID got out of the market and never got back in? If they had a good advisor, they didn't do that. They had what we'd call, good investor behavior. But I have individuals who called up and said, I want to be out of the market. And we'll do everything we can to try to counsel them through why that may not be a good reason. But at the end of the day, it's their money. We'll do what they want.
I was one of those that I was like, I'm ready to pull my money and just put it all in cash. I wanted to do that because I was very afraid of what's going on. But I talked to you and the other financial professionals at Premier Investments and Wealth Management and said, you know what? That's not part of your financial plan. Your financial plan means you buy when the market's down. You're buying with coupons at that point.
The beauty of the financial plan is nowhere in that plan does it ever say that we have to time the market.
Yeah.
It shows us what the appropriate asset allocation is to provide us the highest probability of success or the best possible outcome. It removes all the emotion from from all the things that could happen. Just think about last year, regional bank crisis.
Oh, yeah.
Banks going out of business. You could have found a reason every single year to be out of the market. If you did that, you missed out on a 34,000 point gain.
Wow.
in the Dow. The
That's
Dow's
remarkable.
37,000 at the end of this year. It's
Right.
37,689 points.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Well, so we actually did a little a back test where we just said, hey, what if you were the worst investor ever? Because everybody is fearful of investing at the very top of the market. Well, I put my money in and then it just goes down immediately. So he said the last 5 bear markets, had you invested $10,000 the day before the market started its meltdown and did nothing, what happened to your money? And you know what happened? You never invested again. You just made 5 deposits, $10,000 the day before the market crashed.
Okay.
How much do you think it grew to?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but it grew.
Tripled. You didn't do anything. And at the time, I mean, literally the unluckiest, worst investor possible. But it just goes to show people, if you put your money in and forget about it, good things happen.
Do you ever feel like your financial goals are just out of reach? It's time to take control of your future with Premier Investments and Wealth Management, your partner in financial independence. Imagine a financial plan that's as individual as you are. At Premier Investments and Wealth Management, our team of experienced advisors will work closely with you to create a roadmap tailored to your dreams, whether it's buying a home, retiring comfortably, or starting a business. We believe in transparency and education. We'll help simplify complex financial concepts, provide clear guidance, and empower you to make informed decisions. Financial wellness is within your grasp. Visit www.premieriwm.com to schedule a meeting with an experienced advisor today.
You know, it's important to take into account some of the things that they're talking about at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Part of it is having a financial plan, because if you have no financial plan, there's no roadmap between you and your financial future, whether it be retirement, whether it be your kids' education, or maybe it's that Gulf Shore cottage, or maybe some place on a lake in Texas if you want to get a little fishing spot or get a little hunting spot away from everything. But if you go to premieriwm.com, click on Get Started, answer a few questions, they will provide for you a 1-page financial document that has really a roadmap. It's very simple, too. It's 1 page, but don't let that simplicity fool you. There's a lot of complex reasoning behind it, and they'll explain it to you if you want to. I mean, that's the whole beauty of it, is that they can do this for you. PremierIWM.com, click on Get Started, answer the questions, or you can also make an appointment online if you want to talk to them. We've been talking about the importance of making sure that you are well-grounded during an election year, especially because this year again, here we are. It's been the 3rd consecutive election. Okay, 5th consecutive election maybe, that things have tried to go cattywampus. Keep your head on your shoulder. There's really an easy way to do that, Roger. You talk about building what's called a media filter. Not from this.
Yeah,
okay?
Don't build a media filter for me.
Yeah, not
or
for
this
this
show. But in general, you need to start thinking about, how do I decipher information? I think one thing that is out there in society today is there's literally information overload.
Right.
Good example. I talked about, how to roll up the sleeves of my shirt.
Yeah.
Do you know how many different ways to roll up the sleeves on the shirt was?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want them to come down. I finally found one that works, but I spent 25 minutes doing it. Investing is the same way. There's information overload. So some people choose to get their information from TikTok. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's a safe spot.
Yeah.
Some people choose to get it from Wall Street Journal, some Bloomberg. There's all these different places to get it. You need to figure out what information is important and how do I filter out the noise. This is always interesting. I can tell what somebody's watching on YouTube by the conversation that I have with the individual.
Really?
I know what they're watching.
Okay.
Because I watch it, so I know what my people I'm working with are going to talk about. I know if they're watching the doom and gloomers or if they're watching silver stackers or based on how they talk. And the more we start to filter out media, Doug, the better we can be and less emotional about this stuff. I have to talk to my wife quite a bit. I try to live in the world in which I can control. What can I control?
Yeah.
I can't control what happens overseas. I can't control what happens with the election. I can control how I vote, but I can't control what happens with the election.
Right.
Can't control the stock market. But here's what I can control. I can control the fact that I have a well-written financial plan. I can control how much I save. I can control where I save it. I can control how I spend it. So that's the world I have to live in.
Yeah.
And if people start thinking about just living in the world of what they can control versus what they can't, they'll filter out all of this other noise and prevent them from making a bad decision.
Yeah. And something, there are some people that can control their reactions to all these things. There are other people who have a difficult time, and they're going to make knee-jerk reactions to a lot of different things out there. And that's where the importance of a financial plan, but okay, before A, what's before A? I don't know, pre-A, okay? It's having a wealth advisor that you can go to, because if you are prone to emotional reactions, you need somebody to be able to help you take your foot off the gas a little bit and don't twitch like it's a drag race if you're sitting at the corner first and first, getting ready to go west, young man.
I have a great example of how this can really help the individual who has the knee-jerk reaction like you had during COVID that says, hey, I just need to go to cash.
Yeah.
One, part of the reason that happens is because they're living in the world of unknown. They don't really know how or why they're investing or have purpose behind it. So I have an individual, every single time the stock market goes down, and when I say down, like 7%, it's not like these are massive corrections when he calls me up and he says, hey, what do you think we should do? Should we go to cash? And every single time the response is, well, I don't think. Let's go run your financial plan.
Yeah.
Let's see what the probability of success is if we put you 100% in cash for the long term, because I'm not a market timer. The problem with market timing is you have to be right twice, when you get in, when you get out. So let's see what happens if you go to cash. And his probability of success in his current portfolio was around 75%, which is marginal of where we wanted, but it's still there. When we went to all cash, it was 0.
Yeah.
So I just said, Mr. Client, what would you like to do? Would you like to go to all cash or stay the course? And every single time, you know what he said? I think we'll just stay the course. 0 doesn't sound too good.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
But here's why this individual is able to make that decision. The decision wasn't because I thought or I feel or I think. It was, the numbers tell us for you to be successful, this is the risk you need to take. So what we really did is we quantified his risk capacity. How much risk do you need to take to be successful? There are cases, if the probability of going to cash was 75% for this individual, we could have moved to cash. But it wasn't. It was 0. So it's easy to decide what not to do. And there's just this risk aversion that's out there.
Yeah.
I almost equate it to like the doctor. I'm risk averse to surgery.
Yeah.
I don't want surgery.
Right.
But if I go to the doctor and they say, Mr. Abel, your probability of recovering is 92% if you have this knee surgery, or it's 0 and you're never going to walk again. Well, I'm signing up for 92%.
Yeah. Exactly. It makes sense to do that. Roger Abel from Premier Investments and Wealth Management, we're talking broadly about elections and their effect on the market. I want to go back to something here in the few minutes we have left. So you have a financial plan. I mean, you back in the day, these things were fairly static. I mean, now you've got something that's so dynamic that your mid-financial plan, so you're like mid, say you've got a long-term, you can actually go back and run it based on the information that's occurred between when the last time it was run and, now, it takes in current events on top of everything. It's really interesting.
It's the technology and software's come so far in the last 10 years. And I jokingly tell this to people, 10 years ago, if you met with us, you got a big, 100-page printout. Here's your financial plan, walk through it, you take it home, throw it in your junk drawer, and never look at it again.
Yeah.
Today in our world, the financial plan is this living, breathing financial decision tree. So anytime there's an important financial decision, we can model that. I don't know why anybody wouldn't be modeling their financial decisions if they're meaningful and impactful.
Yeah.
Why would you just guess or think or go about it sideways? It's kind of like the 4% withdrawal rule. And the 4% withdrawal is a rule that has been out there that you can take 4% a year and have a high likelihood you won't outlive your money. And I told him, I said, that'll likely work. That's an outcome. It's not an optimal outcome.
Right.
Because not everybody wants to never touch their principal. Some people want to enjoy life. So what the financial plan allows you to do now, more than ever, is go meet with an advisor, sit down, start telling the advisors, here's my needs, here's my wants, here's my wishes. How does it all work? Can I do everything I want to do in retirement and really dial this thing in? And then if it works, great. If it doesn't, what do we want to start eliminating? And for lack of better purpose, let you play God with your financial plan right in front of your eyes and start lining up different scenarios. And Doug, what it really does is gives people this really high level of financial confidence and more financial direction as to what they're going to do in the future.
In a world filled with financial complexity, who will help guide you toward a brighter financial future? Look no further than Premier Investments and Wealth Management, your partner in financial success. At Premier Investments and Wealth Management, our commitment goes beyond numbers. It's about understanding your unique goals, dreams, and challenges. Our financial planning process is personalized to help you implement strategies designed with the goal of maximizing your outcomes. Whether it's saving for retirement, building wealth, or preserving your family's future, we've got you covered. Our mission is to simplify the complex world of finance and empower you to make smart, informed decisions. Ready to take control of your financial destiny? Visit www.premieriwm.com to get started. Premier Investments and Wealth Management, where your financial independence begins.
You know, it's remarkable the amount of technology that you can bring to bear to this, but what it comes down to is that you've got that combination of that, but you've also got the combination of it's psychology. It's investing psychology, and you work with the people that come to you at Premier Investments and Wealth Management to make sure that they are staying steady, that they're holding the course. It's something that it's like, I guess it's like anything else. If you're driving a car and that deer jumps on the road, don't veer for deer. If you got a market that's going sideways for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. And you look at this, this is the thing. Last 30 years, take a look at this. If you go and you ask them, this is from advisorscapital.com, you ask Roger and the folks over here at Premier Investments and Wealth Management for that, they will send this to you. Monumental stuff that's going on. Japan earthquake and tsunami. The government shut down in 2023. Obviously COVID. How many impeachments did we have as well? There's always a reason to find a way to just get the heck out of the market, in which you say, hey, how about we just stay the course? But that's based on data and information, not on a thought and a feel.
If it's a thought, a feel, I think you're not able to give people conviction. Yeah. That's what's changed so much in our industry over 20 years. 20 years it was about finding another stock, or I think this will be good. Today it's about, all right, the data tells us that if we have this portfolio, this is the likelihood this will happen, given a set of parameters. And I think that's the best thing that's happened to individuals from a planning standpoint. If you look at the data, about 28% of people are confident about retirement. Guess what percentage of people have done a financial plan?
About 27, 28.
Yeah. So if you're one of the, 3 out of 4 that hasn't done this, you should do it. And I think people believe that the financial plan is really for people getting ready to retire. It's not. It's for everybody.
And if you're getting ready to retire, you need to find out at premieriwm.com. If you're ready, go to there, premieriwm, and press get started and find out. Get your Premier Vision document. For Roger Abel, I'm Doug Wagner. Thanks for listening to us here on 1190 talkradio.com. It's Talk Radio 1190. Have a great week.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide tax advice. Please consult your tax professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal,